Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss chapter Respiration in Organism. Why do we respire? All the living organisms are made up of cells, and these cells they perform different functions such as digestion, respiration, transportation and excretions. Now to perform all these functions, these cells need energy. Now where do these cells get the energy from? They get the energy from food. Now, how do the cells get the energy from the food? So this food is broken down in presence of oxygen or sometimes in absence of oxygen to release energy. So when we breathe, we take in air that contains oxygen, and this oxygen is used by the cell to break down the food and release the energy. In this process, carbon dioxide is also formed. Now, as carbon dioxide is harmful for us, therefore this carbon dioxide is released outside the body. What is cellular respiration? So cellular respiration can be defined as the process in which the food that we eat is broken down inside the cell with the release of energy. Now all the cells in living organisms undergo cellular respiration. The oxygen that an organism breathes in reacts with the carbohydrate glucose present in the food and results in the release of carbon dioxide, water and energy. So this is the equation for cellular respiration. So glucose plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water and energy in the form of ATP. So the respiration that takes place in presence of oxygen is called aerobic respiration, and the organism which use oxygen for respiration, they are aerobic organisms. Now anaerobes. Now there are some organisms which can respire in the absence of oxygen, and these are called anaerobes, and the type of respiration is called anaerobic respiration. For example, yeast, you can see here, this is the yeast, they respire in the absence of oxygen. So here, because the respiration or breakdown of food takes place in the absence of oxygen, therefore the breakdown of food is partial breakdown. So in this process, alcohol and carbon dioxide are produced, and also some amount of energy is also produced. Now this process is also used in the formation of different types of alcohols like wine and beer, and this process is also known as fermentation. So anaerobic respiration is also known as fermentation. So in our body also anaerobic respiration takes place, but in some special situation. Sometimes muscles of human beings respire without oxygen. When we undergo a heavy exercise such as running, weightlifting, cycling or walking for longer duration. In such situations, the muscles require more energy and the supply of oxygen is not enough. Hence, anaerobic respiration takes place in muscles. As a result, the muscles also produce lactic acid. So, when anaerobic respiration takes place, that is when glucose is broken down in absence of oxygen in our muscles, lactic acid is produced and some amount of energy is also produced. Now when this lactic acid starts accumulating in the muscles, it causes muscle cramps. In order to get relief from cramps, we can take a hot water bath or massage our muscles. So what happens is when we take a hot water bath or massage our muscles, it improves the blood circulation, and this leads to the flow of blood in the muscles, and also oxygen reaches the muscles, and this oxygen will break down the lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water. So let us see the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. First of all, the aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, while anaerobic respiration takes place in absence of oxygen. High amount of energy is released in aerobic respiration, low amount of energy is released in anaerobic respiration. Human beings and other animals undergo aerobic respiration, yeast and sometimes the muscles in our body, in humans, they also undergo anaerobic respiration. Carbon dioxide and water are produced during aerobic respiration. Now, depending on where the anaerobic respiration takes place, either lactic acid or ethanol or alcohol will be produced. So this is the equation for aerobic respiration. Glucose in presence of oxygen produces carbon dioxide, water and energy, while in this case, in absence of oxygen, glucose will produce alcohol and carbon dioxide plus energy in case of yeast, and lactic acid and energy in case of our muscles. Now, breathing. Breathing can be defined as a process in which organisms, with the help of their respiratory organs, take in oxygen-rich air present in the surroundings and release air that contains high amount of carbon dioxide. Now, a breath can be defined as one inhalation and one exhalation. So, two processes are involved in breathing. One is inhalation. Inhalation is the process of taking in air which contains more oxygen, and exhalation is the process of releasing out air that contains more carbon dioxide. Breathing rate is defined as the number of times a person breathes in a minute. So, the breathing rate is not constant. It increases according or decreases according to the needs of the body, or needs. If the body needs more energy, the breathing rate will increase. So the average breathing rate of an adult human is about 15 to 18 times per minute. While exercising, the rate may go up to 25 times a minute. Now, when you are talking about breathing, then we have to know our respiratory system. So this is the human respiratory system. These are the different organs of our human respiratory system. Okay, let us start with the nasal passage, that is the passage that is present inside the nose. So the air enters through the nostrils, enters through the nasal passage, then it goes through the pharynx, then through the trachea. This trachea is also known as the windpipe. This trachea then, as you can see here, this trachea then breaks down, or it divides into two tube-like structure. These are known as bronchi, and this bronchi will further break down, or it will divide into smaller tube-like structures which will end in sac-like structures which are known as alveoli, and this all structures are present within this organ, and this organ is called the lungs. Now, as you can see, the lungs are protected by these bones, that is the ribs. So every organ in our body has this protection of the bones. So lungs are also, because they are very soft organs, they are also protected by the bone structure, that is the ribs. Apart from this, there is one muscular sheet you can see below the lungs. This is the diaphragm. Now, how does this all structure help in breathing? Let us see. So, we take in air through our nostrils, which travel through the nasal cavity. Then it moves through the windpipe, that we also call as trachea, and then reaches the lungs. The lungs are located in the chest cavity, which is surrounded by the ribs. On the floor of the chest cavity, there is the muscle sheet called the diaphragm. Now, during breathing process, the movement of the ribs and the diaphragm takes place. This is so because the lungs expand and contract during breathing. As we take in air, it fills up the lungs. This moves the diaphragm downwards and the ribs outward. The lungs, when releasing out air from the body, which brings back the diaphragm and the ribs to their original position. So let us see how does this happens. So this is the structure of our chest cavity during inhalation and during exhalation. Let us compare it with this model. You can see this is a model formed of a glass jar, and below the glass jar here it is not covered, and it is covered by a balloon, and then there are a rubber sheet, and there are two balloons as you can see here, and there is a cork which is closing the mouth of this glass jar. Okay, so this glass jar does not have a bottom, the bottom is empty, and this bottom is covered by a rubber sheet. Now what happens is, when this rubber sheet is pulled downward, the air enters through this pipe, and therefore you can see the balloons, they inflate. And again, when this rubber sheet is pulled inward, the air will move out through this pipe and the balloons will deflate. Similar thing happen in our lungs also. So this diaphragm and the ribs, so this diaphragm, it will move downward and the ribs moves outward. So what happened, the space inside here increases. So as the space increases, as it happened here, as the space increases, air will move in through the nose, through the windpipe, inside the lungs, and this is how inhalation takes place. So the ribs are moving out, the diaphragm is moving down, so that the area inside the lungs have increased. So as the area increases, the pressure decreases. So as you know, air moves from a high pressure area to low pressure area. So here also the air will move from outside to inside, because the pressure of air is less here than the outside. Just the opposite takes place during exhalation. As you can see, this diaphragm will move back to its original position. The ribs will also move back to its original position. So what will happen? The area inside the chest cavity will decrease. So the pressure will increase here. So now what happens? The pressure inside the lungs is more than the pressure outside. So the air will move from the lungs towards the outside, just in this case as we see here. So this is how the process of inhalation and exhalation takes place in our body. Next is, why do we sneeze? Now sometimes we sneeze. Now why do we do that? So as we inhale air present in the surroundings, sometimes some unwanted elements such as dust or smoke can go inside. Now most of the dust are stuck in the hair in our nostrils, but some can move into the nasal cavity. So when these dust particles, they move into the nasal cavity, they cause irritation in the nasal cavity, and this makes us sneeze. So when we sneeze, these dust particles are thrown out from our nasal cavity. So this helps in getting rid of unwanted particles from our nasal cavity. Now what do we breathe out? So if you see this chart, you know that how much oxygen is used up during respiration and how much carbon dioxide is released. So when we take in air, as you know, the amount of oxygen in air is 21%, and in exhaled air, that is the air which we exhale, there is 16%. So we can see here about 4 to 5% of oxygen is used up by the body. Now carbon dioxide, the amount of carbon dioxide is 0.03% in air, inhaled air. So the air that we take in, we have about 0.03% of carbon dioxide. But when we exhale, the amount of carbon dioxide is 4%. So you can imagine how much, about 4% or 3.9% of carbon dioxide is formed inside the body, which is moved out of the body through the process of exhalation. Now water vapor contains less water vapor. The air that we inhale contains less water vapor, but the air that we exhale contains more water vapor. That means when we breathe out more carbon dioxide and water vapor. Now let us check the breathing in other organisms. First let us see about cockroach. Now cockroaches have very small openings, as you can see on the sides of their bodies. These are known as spiracles. So through these spiracles the air enters into these tube-like structures which are known as trachea or tracheal tubes. Now apart from the tracheal tubes, there are some air sacs in which this air is stored. The air enters the body through the spiracles and diffuses in the cells via the trachea. Similarly, the air from the cells enter the trachea and moves out of the body through spiracles. So air enters through the spiracles, through the trachea it goes to the every cell of the body. Here the oxygen is used up and the carbon dioxide is released again back to the trachea, and through the trachea it moves out through the spiracles. Breathing in earthworm. Earthworm has soft, slimy and moist skin. Hence the gases can easily pass in and out of the skin. So here the breathing organ of earthworm is the skin itself. So through the skin only the oxygen can diffuse inside and the carbon dioxide can diffuse outside. Similarly, in frogs also, they can use the skin to take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. But in frogs they also have lungs which can also be used for respiration. So generally the frogs use the skin in the water. When they go into the water they use skin for breathing, and on land they use the lungs for breathing. Now aquatic animals or organisms which live in water, how do they breathe? So they have special respiratory organs called the gills, as you can see here. These are comb-like structure that are present on the skin of the animals. The gills allow exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide from the water. So these gills can take oxygen and carbon dioxide only from water. It can take oxygen from water and release carbon dioxide into the water. They cannot take oxygen from the air. Therefore, a fish will die if you take it out of the water. Now some animals called the amphibians. So as you can see here, this is a tadpole. This is the smaller it is the smaller version of the frog. So the frog, when it is small, it is called the tadpole. Now as you know, the frog has lung and skin for breathing, but when it is small, that is when it is a tadpole, it has gills for breathing. Similar to fishes, they also breathe through their gills. Now do plants respire? Yes, plants also respire, and because they do not have any circulatory system like us. For example, we have blood which takes the oxygen from the lungs and give it to the different cells of the body, but plants, they do not have that type of system. Therefore each organ of the plant, they respire separately. So the leaves, they breathe through their stomata. The stem, they breathe through the special tissues which are known as lenticels, and the roots, they breathe through this hair-like structures which are called the root hairs. Now because of the presence because of this, the roots, as we have already discussed, they use root hairs for breathing. Therefore what happens if a potted plant is overwatered? So now we see that if we overwater, some plants die. Now why does that happen? We know that roots get oxygen from the soil. We also understand that the air in the soil is present between the soil particles. So as you can see, this soil particles have in between them air spaces in which air is present. Now along with the air, soil also contains some water or moisture. If we overwater the plants, the spaces between the soil particles get clogged. As a result, the roots will not be able to get enough air and the plant can die. So these air spaces will be filled up with water if you overwater. Then the root hairs will not have any air or oxygen to breathe, and therefore the roots will die. And if the roots die, then the whole plant will also die. So we should not overwater potted plants. Thank you.